I don't know how many times we're going to do this in this season. Welcome back, everyone, to Matchday report. It's Preston North End versus Hull City in the reverse fixture. You're probably aware by now of the score, of course, another 0-0. But that's not what I'm frustrated about. What I'm frustrated about is everything else that comes in between the lines. And I'm here to discuss that today and all that lovely stuff like normal. So if you are new here, be sure to drop a subscribe and whatnot so you can keep up to date with the latest Preston North End matches, how they all go, the statistics, the report from the manager, any updates and things like that. You know how it is. We just keep on top of PNE news and all that good stuff. And other things going around the Championship and all that lovely stuff. Right, so I'll leave you to look at this graphic while I read out the first and second half breakdowns as per usual. So the first half was incredibly boring, with PNE showing essentially nothing apart from one good run from the lap, and we were very lucky to not be behind after Hull's numerous shots in that half. I think they had about 7. The second half had us pick up a lot more with forward runs, and we had more chances, but we didn't capitalise on a single one of them, as we didn't get a single shot on target, as you can see, and that's ridiculous, and that's what I'm really frustrated about, because for an attacking brand of football, it doesn't look good when you only have 7 shots in a match and 0 on target against Hull City. No disrespect to Hull, of course they play better at home than they do away, but we play better away than we do at home. And not only that, Hull aren't exactly a brilliant team. We're very level with them on terms of the table, in terms of goals and all that other stuff. And if you remember, the opening day of the season was Hull City, and it was also 0-0. So actually, I think it might be a good idea if we can compare those two graphics right now, just to show you the contrast in what's been going on. So if I go back to the tippity top of this lovely little thing that Google provides us, and let's look at how we performed on opening day. So as you can see, 20 shots and 6 on target to Hull's 6 and 1. Straight away, this looks like attacking football. 63% possession, 81% passing accuracy. Of course, we had a lot of fouls, but that's just Preston. And then compare that to what we had yesterday. 7 shots to none on target, 48% of the possession, 68% passing accuracy. You wondered, what happened? When the season started, it was 0-0, and everyone's questioning where's the goals, where's the attacking football. We genuinely was playing some decent football at the start of the season. It was really good, but because people were impatient and they were demanding changes for goals, things went downhill. And as you can see, they've gone very downhill, especially now with loads of absences such as Ched Evans and Whiteman, and now McCann's out, which we'll talk about in a moment. So yeah, there's a lot of things going wrong at the minute in the club, and I do think it's really going to stunt our playoff hopes. It's not a playoff race anymore, it's a relegation race. So yeah, it's very depressing because we've won at the start of the season, even though it looked miserable with 0-0, but you're like, oh, it's impressive because clean sheets. Clean sheets mean nothing if you're not scoring goals, It's all about the general performance of the entire of the match, not just that one moment where you score a goal. Goals win games, that's the do-all and end-all. I'd rather concede 2 and score 3, personally. But that's just me. I don't know if Ryan Law sees it the same way. But anyways, we'll look at the player ratings. Woodman was given a 7, which I can agree with, to be honest. He made a couple of good saves. Some very good saves, actually. When Hull had a shot from distance, it didn't look like he was getting anywhere near the ball. So it's a good job it didn't go anywhere close to the goal. But that's Woodman in a nutshell. When he gets put in pressure from a close situation, he can tend to do quite well. However, in terms of positioning, it's horrible, and that makes distance saves very difficult for him to do. And his distribution is absolutely horrendous, and it was horrendous. I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. Woodman he takes his time and he just boots it up. He doesn't actually aim for anyone by the looks of things, and if he does, we're not doing it correctly. So that needs change. Right, Story of 5. Story had a shocker. I'd probably say maybe a 4. I don't think he was very good at all, which is why he came off at half time. He took a whack to the back of his foot, but he was, in general, he was really off his mark. Cunningham a 7. Slotted in at centre-back for LINDSAY, which he did really well at, and he normally does when he slots in at centre-back, considering he's normally a left-back. He made an important tackle, went on about his business, firstly in the middle of the back three, and then left centre-back, of course, later on in the game when DRB came on. But yeah, no, Greg put in a good shift, and it's good to see him be, slot back in comfortably. Hughes were a 6, forced off midway through the first half. I actually missed what happened, but I just saw him come off. Had handled the game fine, aggressive in his defending, headed, crosses clear, which, yeah, I think you're having a decent game, so you have to see him come off. Potts a 7, decent shift at right wing back, a safe pair of hands defensively, and got forward to support attacks. Real commitment, which is what I like about Potts, because he's more defensive than, say, Alan Brown in that position, but he's also not afraid to carry the ball as far up the pitch as possible. So I'd like to see Potts remain in right wing back for the rest of the season, and Brown in central midfielder personally. Ledson a 6. Battled away in the middle of the park in the absence of Whiteman and McCann. Looked to simplify his game on the day, getting stuck in as always and making quick decisions in possession. Few erratic passes as always, which a lot of people give him a lot of shit for, which to be fair, if you're losing possession as much as Ledson does, it's very frustrating. But at the same time, Ledson's not a terrible player. I think his senses just get overloaded really easily. Brown a 7, central midfield again, competed fine over the piece, got up and down and tried to create things in and around the box. Took an ambitious volley, which were well hit, but just not on target, unfortunately. His general movement and passing and play was pretty good around the match. A few moments where he could have done a bit better, but not terrible. Alvaro 7, personally my man of the match. Quiet in the first half, but grew into the game, drilled past defenders more in the second. Out on his feet by the end, but stuck to his task defensively, which, offensively and defensively wise, Alvaro's better offensively, but defending he's never usually too good. Unlike, say, Brady, but I think he did well yesterday, so hats off to him. Woodburn a 6, I highly disagree with that. I really think Woodburn was about a 4 or a 5, probably a 4. Woodburn was awful. He put himself about and applied pressure off the ball as usual, tried to move the ball quickly when he did, get on it and carried it defensive duties before making way. The reason why I'm saying he's not a 6, like this report says, is simply because when he did have the ball, he was carrying it, but he weren't doing much with it. You can have the ball and carry it to gain possession, but when you're not using that possession correctly, like he doesn't, it goes wrong. For example, when there's pressure put on him, he'll do something stupid. He'll give the ball away stupidly. He'll pass back more than he'll go forward for someone that likes to go forward, which is incredibly strange to see and frustrating. And he was going down a lot, holding his ankles and stuff. And it wasn't a good sight, to be honest. I thought Woodburn had an absolute shocker, and I would have preferred him to come off at 45 minutes. But oh well. Delapa 5 had one opening in the first half, which he worked himself well, but sent it to the side netting. Still very raw with his all-around game, and that's shown through some of his loose passes, replaced at the break. Cannon a 6, isolated for large parts of the game, had looked to feed off, but kept running the hard yards and tried to look after the ball for his team. Created a big chance. Created the big chance for Cannon. What, he created the chance for himself? Okay. I think they mean Parrott. LINDSAY a 6, a few shaky moments after being introduced in the first half, but settled in the second and put in some important blocks. DRB a 6, recovery pace was on show early and pretty solid second performance, one wild challenge aside. The challenge was very risky, it could have very easily been a red. So yeah, that were a bit dodgy. We can't afford another red, to be honest with you. One moment where he got absolutely clotted when he were in the air and he ended up falling down. It looked quite funny. And as soon as he came on the pitch as well, making long, hard passes on the ground, DRB setting an example of what we should be doing, you know what I mean? Because everyone else at that point were just hoofing it up and whatever else like that. They weren't carrying it. DRB were carrying it, were moving it on the floor intelligently, making those through balls. I thought DRB had maybe a 7 performance for me, apart from that tackle. Parrott a 6, impacted the game in the second half, went looking for the ball, brought others into the game, ran at defenders. Spurn his big opportunity of the match, which he'll be frustrated with. It was close, to be fair, but it just weren't on target, which were a shame. If he would have side-footed it, it probably would have gone in instead of just whacking it like he did, but that's what I suppose I can see why he's whacking it. He might be too overconfident with himself after the penalty. But yeah, it would have been good to see him score twice in a row. That would have been very good. But yeah, no, I think he did all right. But towards the end, when you should be going up, he did end up passing it back, and I'm pretty sure it was Parrott. It was either Parrott or Johnson. I think it was Johnson actually. I can't remember. But either way, someone at the very end when we should be going up, and there was a good chance to go forward with it. They passed it back, and they ended up getting into a rout at the end of the game. So yeah, that was a bit messy. But Johnson came on final 15, got his foot on the ball, propped for a way through. Could see the composure he brought in possession. But yeah, no, I think the final minutes are a bit scrambly. Right, Ryan Lowe's post-match transcript, and this is where the bad news comes in. So, the share of the spoils, the second half performance was better than the first. Assessing the point, I think it's a good point. Again, I'd rather take a point than none. We were better second half, but missed an opportunity in the first. If we were braver and didn't turn the ball over as much, we could have found ourselves with more opportunities to score. Both teams looked haunted to try and get 3 points, and it felt like... No, they really didn't. No, that's bullshit. They wanted the 3 points, we didn't. You know, that's why they had 17 shots. Fair enough that a lot of them were very poor shots, and they were going to the moon, but... I'd rather take a shot and miss than take no shots. Anyway, I've lost what I'm reading now. But the first half performance was nowhere near good enough. We made a couple of changes, got the lads in at half time and tweaked one things or two to press from the front, and it worked. Kind of, really. We had some decent moments there and were unlucky not to score. Okay. They will feel the same because they were put on some pressure on us and we withstood it. Overall, a good point. A point on the road is always good. And yeah, pleased with the second half performance, definitely. Well, I'm not. It was better, but it was still shit. McCann's absence. He's probably not going to feature all season now, and this is bad news. He had a tear on his thigh. He felt a bit stiff after the game. We had him scanned and he's going to be 8 to 10 weeks. I didn't think anything of it. He came in on Thursday morning and was fine. But then obviously Jack Hall weren't happy with it. He's got a decent enough tear in there, which is bizarre. He carried on, so fair play to him. I don't know when he did it, but that has made it worse. The lads got to stand up and be counted for now. So with McCann being out, this is bad news for us. So our best midfielder is easily McCann. One of our most creative and definitely our most characteristically sound midfielder, Ben Whiteman, is not going to feature against Wigan. And neither is another sound characteristic person, as well as our top scorer Ched. So we're missing 2 of our best midfielders, our best forward option, and the back look a bit shaky as well. Now we should be beating Wigan, but I don't want to jinx it, but I don't like our odds anymore. But anyways, carrying on. On half-time changes, definitely, yeah. Story has been fantastic, so it's not a blame thing. We just felt that they had a bit more pace down that side, causing a few problems, which is true. Jordan's played a lot of games with Troy. It was 50-50 whether he played. He's been out for 4 months and covered the most distance of anyone on Wednesday night. For him to go again, he wanted to, but I had to take it out of his hands. I had him in yesterday to see how he was feeling, and he is never going to tell the manager, but if you'd seen him walking, he basically couldn't. He was stiff, his glutes, hips, body. He said it was probably the right decision to have him on the bench, but he was feeling a lot better this morning. Okay, it's okay. And I needed him at half time. He came on and performed, so fair play. Delap is a young lad. Him and Cannon, they have to learn quickly how we want to press and what we want to do. Okay, I think DRB and Troy definitely gave us more of an impact when they came on, and then DJ at the end getting us on the front foot. That's bullshit. We was terrible when we weren't terrible, but it just weren't there, especially after DJ came on. The first half was nowhere near us, Both teams really, they would probably say the same. I think second half were better. Pirates impact. He can get hold of it and is clever in what he does. He backs in and bumps people. When he gets the ball, he's running at you. He's a bit of a jinkers. He had a brilliant opportunity to score, which has gone just wide, but they are the areas we want our players getting in. Tom pulled it back for him with the pace and power, and on another day it goes in. But yeah, it gave us something different going that way, definitely, and Bambo gave us something different defensively. I think Bambo should be making the 11 personally. I'd like to see Bambo start against Wigan over Story. I know Story hasn't, as far as I'm aware, Story hasn't missed a game in terms of starting. I think. I'm probably wrong there. He might miss 1 or 2, but he's got the most starts out of anyone on the squad as far as I'm aware. And I'd like to see Bambo slotted in. On defence adjustments, pleased for LINDSAY because players go through bad spells. We left Liam out the last couple of games, but Greg is there, and I said to Liam, come on, it's back to you now, because obviously Hughes was lost in the first half. All those players we can call upon to perform, which we know, and is why I trust him when putting him on. I know they can do the job required, and they did. It's just getting back to believing you can defend properly and cleanly. I think Greg has given us more leadership at the back. He is clever and savvy. When you've got someone in there with a bit of calmness, I'm dyslexic. Calmness, it breeds right through. Like with Troy in the second half, his energy and desire spreads to everyone, and Greg has been the same at the back. So yeah, it is what it is. We've got to keep going. On Hughes, a bit of a tight groin. We assessed him on Monday and see what it is. Hopefully it's not bad. He walked off the pitch, which is a good sign. Okay, so he was just tight. On clean sheet, I don't like singling lads out, but Fred has obviously been different class. And he's had to go through some moments conceding goals, which Fred doesn't like, trust me. That's another clean sheet for where he wants to get to, potentially 13 now, and he wants to keep building on that. Which, yeah, I do want him to win the Golden Glove, or if that's, you know, I want him to have the most clean sheets at the end of the season. It'd be incredible to see that. But at the same time, you know, if we're getting clean sheets without scoring, it's a bit different. I'd like to see like a 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 instead of a 0-0 personally. That feels more rewarding that way. And where P&E go from now, we cannot look at the playoffs at the moment. Okay, what we've got to do is, it's probably the second or third week we've been outside the top 12. We wanted to try and stay in there as long as we could, and that'll be the aim. It's about the next one, and at the end of the month, with the Watford game, it will give us a good indication of where we are at really, and where we are going to finish. Okay. If the table will start to even itself out then, so we can just go to the next one collecting points, trying to win games. So at least he's having a more realistic outlook now, that's good. His optimism is definitely dropping, but it's bringing forth realism. So with that realism, I think we can start to improve. Because when he was off his head, you know, on cloud 9, smoking pot over after the Reading win, that was the start of the downfall. Because you know, he weren't criticising anyone. He was just like, you lot are fucking brilliant, you know, and that was the worst scouts I've ever done. I'm sorry, I'll carry on. On the lack of goals of the team, yeah, of course we'd like to have more, but we've got a 20-goal striker come out of the team through injury, and we've got, well, he's not a 20-goal striker. He did it one season. You know, he definitely weren't getting 20 this season, and we've lost a 7-goal striker. Got no fault of his own, so when the luck is not on your side, it's not on your side. I don't complain, I just get on with it. We train with the lads. Okay, so essentially what you're saying here is Cannon and Delap aren't the answer. It's actually Reece and Jed. And I can see where he's coming from there, because Reece and Jed up front would be a lot more dangerous than, say, Reece and Parrott, or Parrott and Jed, personally, I think. But at the same time, when Reece was playing with Jed up front, it weren't all there. A lot of it was missing, because Reece, fair enough, he can hit the ball and he can score a decent goal, but in terms of collecting the ball, being calm and collected like he were last season with the ball, it's not there this season. So, yeah, difficult one to assess. But speaking of assessment, I'm going to give you my points to make, which is something I'm actually considering scrapping, to be honest, in these videos, my points to make, because it just goes over some things we've already read, so I might not do these in the future, but we'll see. So the points to make: the playoff chase is becoming a relegation battle, the attacking football is still not looking like it's happening, and we made Hull look far better than they actually were. The pros: we had good individual performances from Diaby, Cunningham and Alvaro especially. Woodman made some good saves. The cons were no shots on target, many opportunities from a forward run were not taken, and we had a few very bad performances such as Story and Woodburn. So that about covers it for the Hull game. It weren't an exciting game at all. It was one of the worst games we've played all season in my opinion, especially compared to the home game, which when you consider we're normally better away, it's definitely something to raise your eyebrow at. But at the same time, I can't massively complain, because I think we did alright. We did alright in the second half. It's just a shame nothing else could come out of it. It really does remind me of the first half of the season again, you know, the opening day and every other game after that. But provided we can improve the way we did after those games, I do think everything will start looking up again. Of course, the only good game we played was Reading away and Blackburn away, and we've gone downhill after Blackburn, not Reading. Sorry, Reading was this like a whoa kind of moment, but after Reading things went whoa again, in a bad way this time. But then Blackburn comes along and we're on cloud 9, and now everything's gone downhill. So hopefully we can pull ourselves back out of this. There's still time to reach the playoffs, of course, but it's going to take a lot of fucking doing. And based on how we're playing at the minute, I really don't think we're going to be contending for the playoffs. Instead, we're going to be contending to be a part of the top 10. So, like I predicted at the start of the season, if you remember that video, I do think we're going to finish 9th. Genuinely. And if we do finish 9th, I'm going to give myself a fucking pat on the back, because that is royally depressing. But anyways, thanks a ton for watching. This will go out a bit later, which I apologise about. I've been busy today, you know, I've had like job interviews and stuff, so been a bit different, and obviously content will slow down now that I'll be working again, because I've been out of work for about a month now, but I'll be back in work, so things will slow down, but it is what it is, unfortunately. But oh well, if I can magically win the lottery, I'll never have to work a day in my life. So I'm not counting on it. But yeah, thanks a ton for watching. Be sure to, you know, smash the like, follow on Twitter, all that good stuff. I don't say it enough because I don't feel like it's necessary, but when I do say it, it does work. So, you know, make sure to hit the like if you do enjoy, you want more P&E content and stuff like that, and follow the Twitter for any updates and involvement in these videos. So yeah, thanks again, and I shall see you next week.